All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the September 12th, 2025 working group meeting. Unfortunately, our speaker for today, Cameron from Real Life Robotics, let us know this morning that he ran into a family emergency. Unfortunately, he will not be able to present today. We will definitely make other arrangements to have him back at a future date. But for today, we do not have our usual speaker. So, in that case, I don't have any new members listed for today, but is there anybody who is here who has not had a chance to introduce themselves before and would like the opportunity? No? All right. Um, we were just touching on it a little bit before the before I started the recording, but we were just at Canada's Outdoor Farm Show in Woodstock this week. Saw some friendly faces. I'd like to invite anybody to give a little bit of a recap on the show, how it went, some highlights, anything like that.
Who wants to go first? So,
I'll go first. I love it. It was my favorite event. I love it. I love it. I love it. Such a great opportunity as well to further partnerships to support innovation in agriculture. And I was just delighted to be there. The Ag Tech Breakfast had a fantastically engaged panel session, as well as pitches that were tremendous. And I just was so happy to be there.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Garson, I know you were right next to us in the OMAFA tent.
Yeah, we had a good show, a lot of interest, a lot of buzz. We were running out of our materials on day one and had to start scaling it back a little bit to get through the next 2 days. So that was a good indication of the amount of interest, a lot of good conversations. Good to see a lot of new booths or new groups with representation in our tent, at the OMAFA tent, and then throughout the show as well.
Excellent. Thanks, Garson. Kelly, I saw you turned your camera on. Would you like to go ahead?
First, I just want to thank everybody, all the participants, whether you had a booth or came, because it's you guys. We provide the tent, but it's you guys who make the magic happen. So really appreciate all the support. And it says to us that we're doing the right thing, providing, the opportunity and whatnot. So, but as always, we already started planning for next year. So anybody who has any feedback, please reach out to myself or Siobhan, and happy to chat, because we, always want to keep it fresh and make it more meaningful for everybody who comes. So reach out, and sincere thank you to everybody. So.
Awesome. Thanks,
Oh,
Kelly.
and just a plug, because the Farmer Choice Award is open. So there's one more. We also support the innovations program, of which Haggerty won for one of the awards. The last and final award, which is Farmer's Choice, all the voting is open now. It happens after the show. So I popped the website in the chat. So go vote.
Excellent. Thanks a
Thanks,
lot, Kelly.
guys.
Yeah, I can't turn on the video, but I'd also second that. Great event. Congratulations to the winners. The Farmer's Choice Award is cool. We got that one last year, and it was pretty fun. And just also thanks to like OMAFA as well and actually Joe Dales, who's probably on this call, because honestly, we wouldn't have gone to the show in the first place if it wasn't for him. So yeah, it's a great community, and we went from being sort of unknown to our booth was just buzzing nonstop for 3 days. It was crazy. So yeah, a lot of fun.
And Sherry and Matt were on the panel discussion at the Ag Breakfast, and they did a great job. It was that was the best part of the egg breakfast in my point of view.
I didn't have to pay you too much for that one, did I? Okay, thanks, David.
Yeah, I think I I was there on the Monday night and dropped a machine off, and then before the awards presentation, I actually took my pickup and drove up and down the aisles and saw the show the easy way when there wasn't much traffic around there. And some stuff is new and some stuff isn't. I think that it would be interesting for the show organizers when I talk to them about, how do they keep the show fresh, and how do we keep farmers coming? You know what I mean? There's always the debate. I spent some time across the road at the drone demonstrations. There's so much interest in the drone space, and a representative from PMRA was talking with Drone Spray Canada while I was there, and you know about what upcoming regulations may or may not be. Obviously, that person can't say anything, but I mean, it's interesting to see. There's lots of I want to say cowboying going on with drone spraying right now. And what I'm hoping for is that, and I guess that our mutual conversation is that we don't want to force ourselves into excess government regulations because of a few people painting outside of the lines. And so one of the risks that we run, if we have somebody with a drone who isn't following the rules and is spraying herbicides and chemicals and things illegally, well, we don't want all autonomous agriculture painted with the same brush. And because one of the questions that's being asked is, robots, crossing the roads and doing all this thing. And Paul's comment there that cowboy spraying is not good for ag as a whole. So there are a couple of instances where dicamba was sprayed with a drone and there was drift damage, shockingly, or not shocking. And so that conversation was good. DJI came out with their T100 drone, which is a 100-kilogram, 100-liter drone. The thing is pretty massive. And just out of curiosity, we've been doing some cover crop seeding with our T50 and hitting acres of pushing 30 acres an hour of actual application speed, which is actually pretty good for a drone. So I think that was good. The AgTech breakfast, I agree with David. The panel discussion was good. I was a little disappointed that we started a little bit late for whatever reason, and it made the pitch presentations a little more rushed than I probably would have preferred. But it's still nice to go through, and the area was packed. Like lots of people were at that, and it was good to see the Minister of Agriculture there making some remarks. It was good to see the president of the University of Guelph was there. As well as other dignitaries. That was nice to see. And what that tells me is that our efforts as part of this group to build an ag tech ecosystem here in Ontario, I think is working. And I think that approach is working.
Actually, just a question about that. I agree with all those points. There were farmers there. Any comments on that?
Sorry, you're cut up a little bit there. I didn't quite hear it all.
Oh, just that 2 years ago there were farmers present, and that seems to have stopped, and I wasn't sure why. Do you know anything about that?
There is a few farmers there, but not very many. And I think this year it felt to me like the advertising of the Ag Tech breakfast seemed a bit hidden. And I'm not sure why and that could just be that maybe I was living under a rock or whatever.
No, they didn't even
Uh,
put the link live on the website till like a couple days before it. So
yeah,
we would have had nobody there if we didn't kind of pirate it and send it along.
but I would think that as part of this group and as part of the working group, that is one of our focuses at meetings, is to encourage, to get farmers to take the time to participate. And I think we did the at the strawberry grower event, we made was maybe it wasn't a very effective pitch, but it was, the comment is that we need farmers to stay engaged, and that's going to be a focus to try to get that to happen.
Excellent. Yeah, I wasn't able to, just because of our work with the fair, I wasn't able to be there for the entire farm show. Bridget and I sort of traded off a little bit to cover the whole thing, but I think we both really enjoyed it. We both had some conversations with some people we're going to get to present at the group here in the future. So we were we were very happy with it.
I will say, Dan, like the innovation tent was actually very busy.
Mhm.
And when I did some walking around the show, like it was one of the busier areas of the show. Whether I'm not sure why it felt that way, but it felt that way to me.
I
Kelly
agree.
and Siobhan and
I think they need a bigger tent
yeah.
next year.
I agree. I would
No,
agree
I'm
with that, Dan.
serious.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, the OMAFA team really hustled. So Adam and Kelly and Siobhan and everybody that worked there. So I see Siobhan's on. So thanks, guys. Good job.
Um, one other comment when you were talking about making it fresh, um, one of the one of the questions we had is what would it be like to add something where, you know, at the top of the hour, 15-minute presentations happen where, it's not a sales pitch, but it's an education on a topic. So you could go into, let's say, the dairy innovation tent, where that's not used very strongly. There's a big open area. You set around some bales, and then, 15 minutes, you can learn about the latest in drone technology, or you can learn about the latest in AI, or, you know, and have that be a chance where, you know, if you're coming in to learn, you could sit down and choose the ones you go to and get a quick 15-minute education on something.
So I think they used to do stuff like that, Sherry. There used to be like the RBC. They were originally at the RBC tent. That's what that was at one time, is they had speakers, if I remember correctly. And I think that kind of stopped at COVID. And then didn't, as far as I know, it hasn't resurfaced. Um, the show, like Glacier and I had some meetings back in the winter time about getting farmer engagement with the technology. And one of the reasons why we stopped doing our demo field site this year, which we did the last couple of years, is just a lack of farmers coming over to see that. And so some way to coordinate that and to drive that up, and or to drive the farmer engagement. Um, I know I'll be talking with the show organizers afterwards about that, to say what do we want to do, because they're eager to do that. So
Yeah, and that might even just be the logistics of having something central, comfortable, communicated, because I think the interest is there, and I think it's a great way to come out without having learned something. You walk by a booth, and you don't always get the most out of it as somebody walking by, and you don't always get a chance to really, give great information either.
yep.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you have all the booths, everybody's kind of in sales pitch mode. And I think if you have educational sessions, you can have a broad perspective, or you can have opinion leaders or subject matter experts talk about, okay, this is where drones are going. This is where autonomous is going. This is, and you can look maybe just beyond what one company has to offer. So I really like that idea. Now, the people in the selling stuff, they're kind of like, hey, don't take my audience away. But at the same time, it's also good for the young people to sit down and listen, you know, because they might be their first exposure to tech.
Yeah, I think maybe perhaps between a smaller group of us, if we have a chance to talk with the show staff, we can push some of these ideas forward to them and see where that goes.
Excellent. Well, overall, very glad to hear that everybody had a positive experience with the outdoor farm show. Um, I also do just want to mention, I don't think Bridget's on the call, so I'll just go over it quick, but we do still have a small amount of funding left with the Ag Robotics Working Group this year. So it can be used until March of 2026. So if there is anything, I know we're getting late in the season and that, but if there's any kind of research or anything that could be done between now and then, definitely you can reach out to myself or Bridget or fill out one of our applications on the website. Um, okay, we'll head into the round table for today. So we do have our prompts there, you know, what were some successes or challenges people experienced this week? Or if there are any problems that you think might be solvable by a robot. But of course, those are just some prompts. You're not required to speak just on those. But yeah, so I'd like to open the floor to anybody who has anything to share
I
or thoughts.
if somebody else wants to go first, they can. I do have some pictures of Conrad's robot from the strawberry growers, the UV light robot, if people want to see it. But if you guys want to do that, I can. If I'm allowed to share the screen, I can just let me know, Dan.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. I think that'd be great.
Yes, please.
I wasn't
Okay.
able to make it, so I'd love to see some pictures.
All right. So I'm going to pull a couple of them up here, and then and more share.
While Chuck's doing that, I'll give a quick shout out to Garson with their cane pen that I picked up from the show. It writes
So
really nicely.
can you guys see that image?
Yes.
So this is the image of the environment where the robot was running. So these are, I guess, the proper term. I don't know, tabletop berries. Is that the right term? And they have quite a few of these hoop houses going. They're all connected together. Um, and you can see the track the robot has to run on. And then this is the robot. Okay, if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
And so basically the robot is a battery operated machine. It's four-wheel drive. What is unique about this robot is they have active suspension on every wheel. So as the robot is going across the dirt, the active suspension levels the robot out. And then this hood fits over top of the row of berries. And underneath the hood, which I didn't take a good picture of that, is just a series of UV light bulbs that are set to dose the berries at the correct dosage. And this arm, when the robot goes down the track, it goes down one set of berries, and then at the other end of the greenhouse, the arm will raise, go to the right-hand side, and the robot will back up and do the next row beside it. And then at the end, they have to manually turn it and drive it to the next row of berries. They haven't got their turning going. They ran a trial for part of July and August. So really, they're just kind of really just getting going with the machine. They had it set up here. The operator was setting up a timer where, because the robot has to run at night in the dark. And so they would set a timer up for the robot to turn on at a certain time of night, and then the robot would go and would run. I know they've had some decent results with that, and I'm not sure how well this video will show.
It's not
But
bad.
great, you can see it moving its way across. You can see the UV lights glowing there in the background. Is this okay that I'm showing this, Conrad?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning,
Okay.
everybody. Sorry, we're a little bit late here this morning.
Yep.
Thanks
Yeah, I
for
didn't see you
showing this.
on.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
really awkward if that was a no.
Yeah, exactly.
Quick,
I had
turn
asked
the screens.
I had asked Conrad before if I could take pictures, and he said yes. So
No, of course. Absolutely.
and so anyways, so that's what we saw, and this robot did not get stage fright at the show, and so it actually turned on and worked as intended. And that's always a bonus at these kinds of events. So that's what we had saw. So good work, Conrad.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like you mentioned, the only thing we're missing right now, what we're working very hard on, is trying to get the moving from aisle to aisle autonomously. That's the last thing that and it is working, but not 100% of the time. That's the problem. That's why we didn't want to show it during the demo, because we didn't want to have the exact same thing you just mentioned, having stage fright, where you're trying to show something and then it actually doesn't work. So we switched that up and said, no, we're doing this manually right now at the moment, but we hope we're going to have that soon working.
Yep.
And then we have future plans to actually extend the UVC part of it to make that two things. One is to make it detachable, so it goes on its own stand, so it can come off in the daytime, for example. So you can use the rover for other applications. And then on the stand, it will charge the UVC lamps, and they always have a separate battery. And then the biggest thing is basically the UVC actually would be expanded to 4 times the capacity, allowing us to get roughly about 200 joules per meter square in one shot when we're driving through at about 2 kilometers an hour. So it gives us much more capacity to actually do the UVC. And because the current system was really just to try and verify that UVC actually will work with strawberries. That was the object of this project. It was not a commercialization project, but in order to make this valuable, we have to extend the UVC dosage to make it more valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, so that were my questions about where are you on the efficacy of the UVC? Do you have to do several passes? Can you treat once? What pathogens are you targeting? Why can't you do it during daytime as well? Tell me more.
Yeah,
Tell me more.
Yeah, so again, we're a robotics company. We don't really know the full details of plants and pathogen. But what we understand is that first of all, nighttime, it has to be a nighttime application, and it needs to have another 4 hours of dark period after the application, so that the DNA cannot repair itself. Sunlight will repair the DNA, I guess, and so therefore it has to be in a dark period. That's the first thing. The second thing is our current system is running at about 85 joules per meter square at the speed that we're running it right now at the moment. We can run a little bit slower, so to have about 100 joules per meter square. With that dosage, we need 2 passages per week. So the suggested, what we found also in our studies or in our testing so far, about 170 to 200 joules per meter square seem to be effective, seem to work very well. So in order to get that, we would need to have first of all, longer lamps, and we're going to put them on both sides of the rover, not just on one side, the way the video showed it. That gives us basically a left and right, both tabletops on both sides. Well, the tabletops on both sides gives us a full dosage per week, basically. So every plant has to see the rover just once per week, basically. And it also goes as a faster speed than what the current system, what you saw there. So that would allow us to actually get much more performance out of the system and cover a much bigger area per night or per week or whichever way you want to look at this.
Is Mary Ruth McDonald on? Because she's done a bit of work with UVC, I think. So she's a professor up at the, the Muck Station in the Holland Marsh. So you might want to
she's on.
connect. You might want to
she's
connect
on.
with her at some point.
Yeah. And there's some researchers from AAFC in Quebec, just outside of Montreal, that have done quite a bit of work on it as well. I think the other, and oh, sorry, Conrad, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, so our thing is what we're trying to accomplish is that UVC is just one application that we want to put on our rover platform. So we're trying to work on more applications that we want to bring online. And so for now, the UVC is just one aspect of it. And we're looking for more applications because, like I said, I would like to have this detachable so the rover can just go park the UVC lamps, get them off, and then do other things in the daytime, for example, or other ways. Because we do see, of course, UVC is a very limited application. It can only run for, especially in the summer months, it would only run for 2 hours at night. That's all it really can do because there's not enough dark period, the 4 hours after you're applying it. So therefore, we are looking for more applications that we can handle and can put on there to make this system valuable. Because we know that robotics is not that cheap, so we also need to make sure that this thing runs more than just 2 hours a day. So that's kind of our strategy going forward. So one is, of course, the UVC, which is an application, but the other thing is the robotics that we're adding more functionality onto this system. And we want to kind of say as well that it's an upward compatible system. So as we keep bringing on more functionality on it, they can be added. It's like a tool basically you're adding to the system. So you can do this as we developing more and more tools for it. We can add those to the rover over time. We just need to know what's more valuable. And we got a little bit of feedback actually, which was quite nice about that demo day. There were about I would say about 60 or 70 growers were there. So we got some feedback from them in terms of what they were looking for. We just right now going through evaluating all we had a feedback form we asked them to fill in what kind of applications they were most interested in, that they see most valuable. So right now we're working to those questionnaires to kind of understand what they would see as a very valuable opportunities to work on next and bring in on board next.
And I think the only other thing from that event was we did bring our UV light weed killing implement there. This was the prototype that Mary Ruth and her team worked on back in the wintertime, and then doing some testing for us. And our new version of this, where the UV lights have 10 times the power, should be out next week. And I think that was the only other thing from that demo event that we that I wanted to touch on now that we had a few minutes to talk about it.
Can everyone hear me? My Zoom just crashed.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there might be a little blip in the recording for this week. All of a sudden, my screen just disappeared.
No, it's still recording, Dan. And
Okay.
the recording never stopped. So
Okay, excellent. Let's hear it. Sorry if I interrupted anyone when I said that, or I'm not sure where the conversation was when I joined back in. Um, Conrad, there was a question in the chat there from Matt Stevens. Have you considered cutting runners?
Correct. That's actually one of the applications that has been mentioned to us before as well. Correct. Yeah, we are thinking of this.
Excellent. All right. Thanks for the updates on that, everybody. That was great. Um, for the roundtable, is there anybody else want to take an opportunity to address the group with anything?
Well, I just have a question. Just curious. Anybody have any update or feedback on Forage, the mushroom pickers out in BC? I know they recently got money. I mean, apparently they're getting great success. I'm just wondering if anybody has any news there.
We've had Sean from Forage on the call before, so I think it would be a great opportunity to see if he'd like to come back to give some further updates on what they've got going on. But if anybody has an update now, Barry, go ahead.
It's slightly different topic, so if there's more to address on that, go ahead.
Did anybody have anything about Forage or no? All right, perfect. Yeah, we'll reach out to Sean to see if he's interested in coming back and giving the folks some updates. But go ahead, Barry.
Yeah, so there's a laboratory in New Liskeard here. It's part of the University of Guelph called the Superior Plant Utilization and Distribution Unit. It's been in existence for 40 years, and what it does is propagate using tissue propagation for garlic. They produce clean seed for the entire garlic growers. They produce potato seed for a number of potato growers. Anyway, to make a short story and applicable here, the University of Guelph has hired a consulting company, and I'm working with them to look at doing a jurisdictional scan and what the future might be for it. The land that it was on, the University of Guelph sold the land in 2021 with a 5-year lease agreement with the current owner. So there are options. That could be extended, but the lab is old. So I guess my question directly to the group here, and I'll put my email in the chat if that's okay, Dan, is we're looking at doing a jurisdictional scan. So what other places do this in Canada or around the world as far as producing seed? We've done a bit of a literature review, et cetera. We are going to be contacting some of the people that are on this call already. They're on our list to contact. But if anybody does have tech information on that, and then secondly, the way it applies to this group is we're looking at, okay, what technology is out there to assist and update and make this better? So that's sort of my little request to this group that I'll put my email in the chat. And if anybody does have information on that, I'd appreciate it greatly.
Awesome. Thanks, Barry. And yeah, please do put your email in the chat there. That's no problem at all. Sarah had a comment in the chat. They're working on putting together a presentation on machine and robotic safety. Does anyone have any questions that you would like addressed? That's a good topic.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, we have both machine and robotics experts that sit on the CSA panels and help create those standards. We are working on a presentation for October. So if anyone has specific things they would like to hear about during those presentations, that would be great to hear, and we can try to work that into the presentation ahead of time.
Excellent. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Anything else for the round table?
We're looking into sort of assessing cameras in very dirty situations. So if anybody has any experience with that and wants to contact me, there's a couple companies in the UK that do this, and we're just wondering, do we Do we source that or start to get into that on our own? So we're talking about cameras in footbaths, sort of at the base level in a dairy.
I
So
would, yeah,
yeah,
I would talk to dirt track racing and race car drivers, like the racing circuit.
oh, yeah,
That's where I would go. Like basically that's where because they do it all at like motocross. They
yeah,
do all
yeah.
kinds of that. Okay.
Okay, do you know anybody who does that?
I can try. I know a couple. Okay. I just don't know if they're high end enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because we're talking about like this kind of a concept,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
right?
know. Yeah. Barns are not clean.
That. So
Maybe
Okay.
talk to Mihal at Strongbow,
oh yeah.
because
Helmet.
they're working on something with foot baths as well, and the feedlots there's shit out everywhere, right? So I know they
Watch your language.
We have
manure
like
everywhere.
a little 5-second delay here.
Yeah.
Okay. Mihal, and then Chuck, you've got people in
I think you've met Mihal before, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Excellent. No problem. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate it. All right. I'll give a quick little update on some of the rest of our agenda items, and then we'll see if it sparks something from anybody else. We've already gone over the Canada's Outdoor Farm Show. Great time. Next week in Niagara Falls, there's the Agri-Food 2050 event. Link in the agenda there. And then on the 24th is the GC Expo in Ottawa. Chuck, I think you're going to that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll be having a display there and bring in a couple of robots as well, supporting the folks up at Invest Ottawa.
Excellent. So that's what's and then on the same day, if you can't make it to Ottawa, maybe you can make it to Kitchener for the Conestoga Biotech Research and Innovation Hub launch. That's on the same day, September 24th in Kitchener. So couple options for everybody on that day. And then we're heading into October for events. So that's what's going on in September. On our job board, we did add the Rainbow Greenhouses Vice President of Operations job listing. So if that's something you're interested in or know someone who might be interested in, that's up on our website, and there's also the link in the agenda there. We don't have any new funding opportunities to list for this week. But we do have a few new industry articles there at the bottom of the agenda with some good stuff. Got one from David in there that he had sent me. So yeah, that's our agenda. We do, without the presentation today, we do still have some time left. If anybody wants to take the opportunity to discuss or question anything else, now's your time. We've got the chance. Otherwise, it might be an early meeting this week.
Hey folks, this is Cameron Waite here.
Hey Cameron, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry about that, guys. I had a family emergency this morning, and so kind of a last minute, everything blows up in your face kind of a problem. But we're back, and I'm back at it. So I don't know if you have time. I'm happy to jump in and do maybe a synopsized quick version of the presentation I was going to give, or if everybody thinks I'm a jerk, that's okay. We can do another one another time, and I'll find a longer time.
Why don't you just give us a quick update and intro, Cameron, and then
We'll have you back. We'll have you
let's
back.
do a full one. You're
Yep.
one of the leaders in the industry here, and
Mhm.
I'd rather you not be rushed, and shit happens. So sorry,
Yeah.
manure happens.
Manure happens. Okay, can you see my screen?
We can, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you what I'll do then. I'll do like the first couple of slides just to give you an overview of what we're building and what we've built, and then we can kind of go from there. All right.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate those words, Joe. That's great to hear. I want to echo them because I think it's pretty exciting what we've built and the team that we have. So just a quick little bit about us. We're about 3 years old now. We started as building a robot. So Real Life Robotics, we built a delivery robot, but I learned, and just for context, I've been in the industry for the better part of 20 years now. I've sold well over 60 million bucks worth of robots on a global level, and I've learned a lot in that journey. I've seen the progression, the transition of this robot experience, the adoption of AI and introduction of that into robotics. And so I've used that to sort of fuel the path that our company's been going on. And just like every startup, we go through pivots. I like to call them maturities. But we've sort of transitioned and moved from a hardware business into more of a software play. But our team is really what makes all this happen. We've got about 60 years across the team, or maybe even a bit more now, of direct robotics and automation experience, and that is in the startup world. That's the everybody getting punched in the face, seeing how that journey goes from an ideation into some sort of a global growth opportunity. And it's a bit of who's who. Everybody's worked for some big companies, and then a bunch of startups that most of you folks might know or have some visibility on. But here's the cool part. So in my journey, in all these years of traveling around the world and seeing different companies selling their hardware systems, I've realized as customers adopt it, all these systems produce tons of data. They all have their own individual slice of value, but it sort of always happens in silos. Technologies don't really talk to each other. Customers have some interest in a piece of equipment, but it's only to solve a portion of their overall business. And at the end of the day, the customers that we're selling to, the customers that I used to sell to, they just didn't have the ability to make sense of it all. They weren't checking our dashboards. They weren't paying attention to the data that was coming out of our systems. They were relying on us to give them that value proposition and hope that it sticks. So we know that these products can be valuable. These hardware systems can be valuable, whether they be physical AI, so your robotic systems, or whether they be IoT systems. But we know that they only provide a slice of value. So if anybody knows the folks at AvidBots, where I was before this, we were building a cleaning robot. It was a cool technology. It did a great job. But selling a cleaning robot to a bank, we only provided a small slice of value to that customer. It wasn't part of their core competency. It wasn't a major part of their business. It just solved a piece of a thing that they thought about on occasion. And so a couple of things happened from that. One, if the customer wasn't truly bought into the technology and really wasn't digging into it deep, they were limited in how they were potentially going to adopt and grow that piece of equipment. And that then on my side, as the guy who's trying to sell them this, it made it harder for me to sell more. It made it harder for me to scale. And I found this across every industry, across every product that I was involved in or sold. That first robot is a tough robot to sell, but once you do sell it, the next 5, the next 10, the next 100, they become really, really hard to sell if you don't have a nailed down value proposition. And so like I said, I saw this firsthand when I started this organization, built a delivery robot. We sold it to a couple of customers. One of the more notable ones was the Toronto Zoo. And the idea was they found value in my thing, but it wasn't major to their operation. So I tried to build a platform, a tool set to use myself to showcase to them how valuable this thing was. And what became interesting was during that journey, the customer said, hey, this is really cool, but we have all these other disconnected and disjointed things that we're not actually using. We're using to their full potential. Can you manage those too? And I said, sure. So we started to bring in other pieces of technology, which moved us into more of an agnostic play and into more of a platform play. So we sort of transitioned from a hardware business into a SaaS business. And what we've built now is a product we call Passenger. So Passenger is a hardware agnostic platform. It's a SaaS platform that unifies multiple disconnected and disjointed hardware systems into a single interface. So we give the customer the ability to see all of their pieces of technology in a single source of truth. But the cool part is we really double down on this concept of AI. So we use AI on our development to help us accelerate in development and bring in the APIs and integration of those hardware systems into our platform. And we also use AI on the insight side. So the real value, the real trick here is we take those different disconnected hardware systems, bring them into one, and then we give all of that huge amount of data to our AI system. We've standardized on Google. We partnered with Google. They've invested in our business to to switch our technology over to the Gemini platform. So we built out a really cool LLM and interface that allows a customer to interact directly with the system passenger and get these really interesting economic insights that ultimately show real actual value. So what you get from that as a customer is you get the ability to see that this hardware investment that you've made is actually showing you some value. And you go, hey, you know what? I do like that cleaning robot. I might buy another one. And so an example of that, just for context, we have some robots and some technologies deployed at the city of Kitchener. They're a customer of ours, and we've started with their golf courses. So we actually track all their golf carts. We have IoT sensors all across the course, so air quality, soil health sensors, environmental sensors. And what we're able to do is bring all of these together and say, hey, did you know that maybe the hole 5 is seeing a little bit low soil, so it's probably a good idea to turn on the irrigation system. But we're also tracking all of the guests that are driving around that facility, and we can know that there isn't anybody currently on hole 5 right now. So turn on your sprinkler system, water. And when somebody then enters that GPS, interface or GPS fence, then you shut off the system. So I'm maximizing and optimizing the use of their water usage and their utilities, and I'm maximizing the use of the customer's experience. And together, we can show a decrease in water usage and an optimization of the resources. So pretty direct parallels into some of the things I was going to talk about today with you guys at a larger scale, but I'll stop there and maybe we'll go for some questions. There's a lot more, but I wanted to talk about some of the challenges we had, some of the goods I've been seeing, some of the stuff that I'd like to see out of this industry. I'll leave it on this, guys. I happen to be really, really, really big on the concept of collaboration over competition. And so what I've learned in my journey is there's not enough robot companies out there, certainly in Canada. We can be more. We have some unbelievable talent and capabilities in this country. And I'm trying to try to be at least play my part in being a little bit of a bridge and bringing these organizations together. And the idea being, if a robotics or an automation company is looking to find ways to grow and expand their technology and show more value to their customer, together we can do that, because that's what this system has been designed to do. So I'll leave it there and ask for some questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Cameron. Yeah, we have a few minutes left. So if there was a quick question or two for Cameron, but we will definitely reschedule to get the full meat and potatoes on this, because it'll definitely be a good presentation.
Yeah, Cameron, not necessarily a question, but we're getting into some of this of course, in the dairy industry with those connections. So it might be there might be some synergies with what we're doing too.
Amazing. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I think every industry is seeing this, right? There's no shortage of industries that are saying, hey, we're having some labor challenges, whether that be cost of labor or just finding people in general. And we know that to keep up with the Joneses, we got to start adopting technology. So we're bringing in some level of automation. I'll give you an example really quickly, which, you look at a city. So I don't know if anybody's seen City of Markham. There's a robot pilot happening with Skip the Dishes, where robots are driving around doing deliveries of food. It's the first and only one of its kind in the country. It's us. It's what we had done. So in a 3-month period, we went from no robots on the road to a fully workable solution. That's what passengers driving. So passengers managing the interface with Skip, we're driving and operating those robots. But what's interesting about that is it's not unheard of or it's not unrealistic to assume that over the next, say, 5 and 10 years, Uber and Skip and Joe's Pizza Company and all these other companies are going to start dropping robots onto the street, or wanting to do deliveries. Okay, so that's cool. That's valuable. That's great for us in the robot world. We're seeing adoption of technologies, but how does the city deal with that? How the hell do they manage 3 different, 4 different, 5 different companies who want to start operating in their space and making sure the geofences are managed and that curb fees are being managed and that bylaws are being, and regulations and oversight and orchestration? How do they manage that? And then somebody goes, hey, I want to have a drone project. We're going to deliver a heart from one side of the hospital to the other on the other side of the street. And CBRE says, hey, we're going to bring in a lawn cutting robot. We want to drive that on 3 different locations. And everybody goes, uh-oh, what the hell do we do now? And so there's never been a problem before until this sort of adoption started to happen. We're on the front end of that hockey stick of adoption of robotics. And when you add into that, I want to track all of my garbage cans, and I have soil sensors across the facility, and all of my smart streetlights. Every single city that I speak to, it's a CFO or it's an operations guy. They're not data people. They're not digging into the dashboards of 10 different companies that they bought from. They're not deep diving with their Excel sheets. They're not doing any of that stuff. They just want their burrito delivered or their light to work or their gas to be cut. And so what we've learned and what we've built now is a tool set that gives them the ability to have that single source of orchestration truth, but the insights get really interesting. And where we go and where I was going to ask this industry here to go with me is by giving API access and integrating with our technology. Not only do you have access to our customers, that is a growing list of customers, but vice versa, you have the ability to build within our ecosystem, our Passenger Plus ecosystem, which allows customers and partners to make their own maybe unique apps or solutions that are monetarily focused, give you some value. But ultimately, in the greater storyline of building that idea of a slice into a wedge or a pie, your system can become more valuable by working with other systems. Therefore, the customer goes, all right, it's time to buy that next cleaning robot or that next lawn cutting robot. That's the idea. So just trying to help. I'm pretty passionate about this, as you can tell, and we'll talk again for sure.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being able to hop in for the tail end of the meeting, Cameron. We appreciate that. Okay, that does bring us to time for this week. Like I said, we'll chat with Cameron to reschedule a more in-depth presentation date. I want to thank everybody for all their comments and questions and everything for this week. Have a great weekend. If you're in London, come to the Western Fair. Closes on Sunday. That's my other job that I'm doing here by promoting that. And yeah, everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Everyone.